Hello and welcome to another Writerly Witterings with me, Michael Jex, the tea-drinking author who's just finished a cup. Never mind. Today, it's a very sad day because I am getting a label ready so that I can send these two Asheras back to their maker. Very, very sad because I absolutely adore them. They write superbly. This is the medium nib in solid gold. I forget what it is. It is 14 karat gold and it is juicy. It is delightful. The pen handles supremely. The wood is just gorgeous. Look at that olive. Really lovely pattern in the wood. It's quite light. It is just a superb pen. Although I must admit, I actually prefer this wood. This is Buckeye. And I've had some chats with Marius Visser, the maker of these pens, and he said that Buckeye is the most patterned and interesting type of wood they use. But it's also an absolute devil to work on, apparently, because it is as light as styrofoam, he says, and it can be crushed in your hand because it's so full of holes. Now, I don't know if this is going to show it at all, but certainly I can feel and see where there have been holes which have been filled in with, I assume, some of the lacquer that has been used to treat the wood. So Marius says that the stabilization process and the manual hole filling takes a lot longer than the other pens, which I assume means that this olive will be slightly more robust. I don't know, but basically these are pens that would stay on your desk full time. They're not the sort of thing that you'd carry out and about with you, I don't think. I don't think I would anyway. I'd prefer to keep these safe at home. He says that Bock make the nibs, but the pen blanks are currently sourced from a small business in Berlin that supplies many of the German knife makers in Solingen and elsewhere. So all of this lovely titanium, which for some reason, although it looks highly polished, it is really quite firmly, it's quite easy to grip. It doesn't take a lot of effort and your fingers don't slide around it at all. I don't know why. My computer's now shutting down because I'm loading some new operating system. But yes, the nibs are made by Bock. This, as I say, has got a 14 karat gold nib, which is just wonderful. I have got in the other pen, shut that up, in this there's a platinum very fine nib, which is nice, but I don't like extra fine nibs generally. I find that for my style of writing, it makes my writing look appalling, basically. It looks like a drunken spider has walked across the page. So for my money, I'm always much happier with a decent medium nib. So although I prefer the look of the Buckeye, this is actually the pen that I've used much more, the olive wood one. Ashera do use a lot of other types of wood. You can specify exactly what you want, from holly all the way through to the Buckeye. And they're all turned, apparently, by a chap in Sardinia who's an expert in, I think it's fair to say, knife making. He makes a standard type of Sardinian pocket knife, and so he's got a lot of experience dealing with different woods and wood turning. So Ashera is very obviously a small business, very new, but I must admit the quality of the workmanship is just stunning. And it's going to be really hard work sending them back. But I must send them back because I have other things to do. And I can't play with other people's pens all the time, much though I would like to. Hey-ho. So what else is new? Well, I did mention a little while ago that I was looking at a different way of setting up my desk. And at the time, I was balancing a whole number of bits of paper on this, which is just an iPad stand, iPad or iPhone, which was okay, but that thing takes up a lot of space on my desk. And instead, I have purchased for myself from an Etsy supplier this. What is it? It is a very simple design which gives you a to-do list which you can slot into the front of this little stand. At the back there are all of the spare to-do list bits that you want, and it means that I can use this with my week to a view concept and my to-do lists, which I can then tick or cross off as I'm going, and at the same time it has 2 slots so I can keep an actual date diary in the back as well. Now, is this a necessary item for everybody's desk? No, of course not. But I have to admit that just having my to-do list in front of me all the time keeps me focused on what it is I have to do that day. I can tick off and mark off all the things as I go, and on the back of this particular system it's got a dot grid. Will I ever use that? Nah, of course not. But what is going to be useful is just being able to see what I've got on the go at any one time. I can cross off and add to my list all the time whenever I need to. But the most important thing, I remember years ago when I was working with the Royal Literary Fund and assisting students at Exeter University with their writing and communication skills. And one of the things that a couple of the students had as problems was that they would write these wonderful, magnificent essays and get very little points or no points at all. One young woman I remember, delightful person who had overachieved at everything at school, suddenly at university discovered that she was getting 0 points. You know, she was getting D's for her essay writing, and she couldn't figure out what it was. I had another guy who was a historian who had a very similar problem. He was a very successful student at school, but as soon as he went to university, he was having real problems getting any answers. Do you know why? Simple. Both of them, when they got an essay that they had to write, they would read the question, sit down and start writing, and they would write straight down the wrong rabbit hole. They would ignore what the actual question was. They got so convinced of the answers they were writing that they lost track of what they were supposed to be doing. Both of them, with the first essays, after I dealt with them, got A's. Now, what did I say that was so radical and astonishing? I said, get a sticky bit of paper and stick it on your computer somewhere where you can see it all the time while you're writing, and have the main points of the question on that bit of paper. So if the essay is about X, Y, and Z, you have that bit of paper with the essay is on X, Y, and Z. You don't have just X or just Y or just Z in your mind as you're typing, because you're constantly reminded by having it in front of you what the question was. That's what this is doing. This is sitting there in front of my computer all the time, and no matter what I'm doing, I have always got the main things I've got to achieve on the desk in front of me. Now, usually in the past, I've had to-do lists which have been in my William Hanna notebooks, and they have been quite effective. every day when I write down my to-do list. But then I write down the to-do list, close the William Hanna notebook, put it to one side and get working on the computer. And I forget half the things I've got to do. Do I go back to the notebook, open it up and find my to-do list? No, I don't, because I go down the rabbit hole of writing a book and I just carry on writing. Now, just by having this little card in front of me, I'm constantly reminded what I've got to do. That is simple, easy, very effective, and it works superbly well. I am convinced. Don't know, I might be wrong. I don't think I am, though. So there you go. Right, now, today is the 17th of September. 2 days' time, this trio of wonderful books, Fields of Glory, Blood in the Sand, Blood of the Innocents, will be joined by its fourth partner, Ashes of Rebellion. 19th of September, Ashes of Rebellion is published, and you can acquire your own copy by the simple expedient of getting onto Amazon or wherever you want to get your books from. The main thing about mentioning that is, though, that I'm just finishing book 5 in that series, and that's going to be posted off tomorrow on the 18th, which is pretty busy. So I'd better get back to that editing. Now, if you'd like to support an author and you really enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe, and all those other good things, because it does make a radical difference with the blasted systems that these social media sites use. What I would also ask, though, is if you've read any of my books and you enjoyed them, if you could put a little review up on Amazon, that makes an even bigger difference to this author's income. But if you want to, you can still buy me a coffee, you can support my Patreon system, you can do all those other good things, and there are loads of links down the bottom. In the meantime, have you got your own system for doing this sort of thing? I know Ugmonk sell something very similar with their analog systems. Various other people do as well, no doubt. But if you've got your own system, how do you use it? Put a comment down below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Okay. I think that's about it, really. Thanks a lot for watching. Speak to you soon. Take care.